So the plan is to put an electric start engine in an 85 XL250R. In America they're 86, 87. In Australia they were just 85 or 84, 85 XL250R. I had one when I was 17. It was one of my first bikes and I rode it and rode it and rode it, really liked it. Now, you know, my hip's a bit stuffed. I want to put an electric start engine in one. So last year I picked up a Honda CBX250, which is known as the Twister. (1985) Honda CBX250 engine, which is the electric start. And you know, the same way that Suzuki did the DR250 and the GN250, same engine, which is a conversion was the last one I did. This one I thought, well, you know, Honda, why not try it and put the engine in and make an electric start 1985 XL250R. So that's what I'm doing. So I bought the engine, it had a smashed top end, the cam wheel on the top was busted. The cam was well worn out, so that's this engine here. So I bought a new cam and wheel for that and kind of just put it back together, and it runs really well. I've got X250 engine, I've got battery, starter circuit wired up, the ignition. So when that's on, there's the neutral lights. I've got engine on and start button. I'm going to squirt some of this into it and see how we go. All right. Woohoo! Rock and roll! It doesn't blow any white smoke, which I'm happy about, but it blows heaps of black smoke, so I suspect the carby is well worn out. But I know the cylinder head has a crack. So the engines, the RFVC engines, 85, 86, they were prone to cracking at the top of their head. The main problem being that people would put in the DPR 8EA plug when it's supposed to have the, which has got the tip protrudes out a bit more, and I can show you some pictures of those. So engine is out of the XL. Currently on the bench. There's the header pipes. This is the CBX250 engine, and realised today that the header pipes will need some adjustment, and I think I can get away with just squeezing them open a little bit. I didn't think that that would be different, but it's different on that engine. So it seems like it's just the cylinder head that's different on the CBX, where it's got slightly larger exhaust port and it's got the single port at the back. The exhaust pipes were a bit of a tight fit, so I had to spread them apart with the jack to squeeze them in. That's the header pipes from the XL. So I've got the CBX engine set up on this jig with the harness. So the plan is at the moment to run up the CBX engine. I've cleaned out the carb, sorted that out, put this thing on here for the choke, fitted the exhaust. I had to widen the exhaust just about 10mm. Alright, so CBX250 engine, I've got it wired up here and I know it runs. Today's little project, and you'll understand why I've got the two bikes side by side, is to run the wiring from this engine to this bike, which will just be the pulse generator, the coil, and the wire here from the stator which provides current for the spark. I'm going to hook those wires across onto this bike so that then the engine will be managed by the CDI on this bike and associated wiring. So that's really just a test to see, I can put the engine in and wire it up. The only difference that I've really spotted with the engine is that the wires out of the stator are slightly different. I suspect it's because the CBX, usually they run a bigger battery, they have got a bit more of a beefier charging system. So I'm going to hook it all up and see if it fires up. So you can see that I've got the coil running across. I've got the pulse generator plugged in here. This yellow one is the charge from the stator, and this earth that I've run from this harness, that's just for the neutral light. So it's got to be in neutral for it to start. So I always just make sure the neutral light is on. And that's it really. Let's see if it starts up. Alright, power's on there. So I'm just using the start circuit here. It's got fuel, choke. Oh, what a treat. So this rear engine mount, as you can see, the CBX clutch activator arm is there. On the XL, it's at the top here, and the arm pivots in there, runs across there. Of course, there's no starter motor there. We've got a starter motor here. So I'm going to have to modify this. Now what I think I'm going to do is I'll shorten the bolt so that this can go here, and I will put spacers in here and bolt it on that way, and that way we've got loads of space for the arm to pivot. Okay, so that's got that bolt shortened. I've got the clutch cable retainer mounted. I'm just going to tidy that up because I want it to look factory. It looks a bit sort of homemade there. So usually I would just do a rebuild on the carburetor. float valve, diaphragm, needle, float bowl gasket. But in fishing around on eBay, I found a brand new carburetor for about $70. Brand new. Very nice. I also found a new, well, not a new, a second-hand inlet manifold on eBay. So that with the carburetor, and we should be off. So I came to put the exhaust on today, and it won't fit because of my new engine mount. So I think I'm just going to have to cut here and pull out that top one so that it's just got the one bolt to connect it. It won't make any difference to the engine mount because it's got a whole heap of other places where it's bolted to the frame. So I'll just cut out that top one there and hope that it clears. Should just clear my little clutch. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. That's what customizing is all about. So I'll need to trim this off, but that's okay. I've just spent the morning watching Ian Russell on Full Custom Garage, so I feel like I'm just going to chop into it. All right, well that worked out okay. So it's just got the one mount. I just had to knock that with the hammer just to bend it a little bit out. And now the exhaust should just fit in. Perfect. A little bit of space there. A miss is still a miss. And everything looks sweet there. All right, so that's the exhaust refitted. There's still a little gap there, that's all right. All looks good. All right, now to get this abomination off. It did work to get me going. I'm just going to pull that off and put the new one on, and then maybe I can fire it up. All right, got the new carb, new exhaust manifold, fuel, wires hooked up. It's a bit difficult because nothing. That sounds pretty good to me. I'll just give it one more start. I need to adjust the idle, I think. Well, that's a screaming success. That's with the new carb. Exhaust on, super quiet. No smoke. Got a charge rate. Oh, brilliant. Fuck yeah, boy. That's what it's all about. This little switch, it's actually a bracket from a shelf. and that's going to bolt in there. I'll have our start button right there. I'll run the wiring into there. So I fitted the starting system. I've got the starter relay from the CBX250 fitted in here. Now, red is power to the harness. Yellow with red, that's to the starter solenoid switch. Green is to earth, and this one we don't need on the bottom. So the 3 wires. So the start switch, I ran a wire all the way up to the ignition, ran it up through here, and I've mounted a little switch just under the switch block here for the start button, so it feels like it's supposed to be there. Like Ian Russell always says, you want to make it look like it's always been there. So there's an earth cable to the starter motor, and the cable from the relay down to the top of the starter motor, all fitted in very nicely today. And I kind of feel like, a bit of tidying up here, a couple of cable ties, and it'll look factory. This standard battery for the bike is really only built to help run the lights. And you see how the terminals are so little, they can't actually support the current to run the starter motor. So I had to fit a bigger battery, so it's really the smallest one I know that will start bikes. It's a Scudo one, it's a 4 LBS. And I just had to cut the corner in here a little bit, and it just slid right back, and I just made the little bracket for it. Plan for tomorrow is to start fitting the cables. The clutch cable here, choke cable, they both need to be modified. Got out all my brass ends, see which ones I need, measure them up. I've modified the cables, so we've got the choke, clutch, I've routed them, so the choke had to modify because it was a slightly different actuator here, so that's fitted there. Clutch comes around, so clutch cable fitted up perfectly. Plenty of clearance there. We can see that the throttle cables are going to need adjusting. I'll have to measure them to length. So I'm going to measure, this is where I want this to sit on the top of this, so I'm going to measure from there to there, and then I'm going to cut that exact length out of the cable and solder the nipple on. That's the plan. This morning I have just trimmed off the 2 throttle cables, and you can see I've soldered on some fresh nipples, and that works as good as you could hope. If you're wondering what this is, this green wire is from the CBX stator, and it's just an earth, so I'm not going to connect it into the harness. Just been modifying the XL sprocket cover to fit. The top screw will fit, the bottom ones don't align, and I had to cut a piece out here to clear this bolt with this little retainer. You see on the XL it's slightly different, so you can see I've cut out a chunk there, and that bolt lines up there, but that bolt doesn't exist on the other engine. So I've got a pen mounted on my makeshift stand, and what I'm going to do is I'll point that pen right at the centre of the hole, then I'll just pull it back and put the sprocket cover in place. So now I've bolted that in place, so I should just be able to move this straight forward, and it'll put a mark exactly where I need the hole. I have fitted a voltage meter so I can keep track of what's going on. I don't want to be left without a battery because I don't have a kickstart. The chain lined up perfectly with the sprocket on the engine, no dramas there. So the main parts of the engine conversion are done. I'm really happy with it. It proved to be very simple. I've got a few tidying up things to do. I need to make a boot here for the back of the carburetor to the airbox. General tidying up on other aspects of the bike that I can sort out. And hopefully I can go for a ride soon. But thanks very much for watching. If you've got any questions, just leave a comment. And you know, if you want to go ahead and try this engine conversion, I highly recommend it. It was great fun, and the product is you know, a super reliable bike without a Kickstarter.